righty, go.
Good evening, everybody. I'm just posting it on the group here as basically this week's weather report.
Yeah, that's
Because it's there's not much of a fishing report to talk about.
we might just have to
I
do
don't
a
think
half
anybody's
hour.
been on the water.
I'm telling you, unless somebody, we're just nobody's going out.
No, everybody that I know of has pretty much canceled trips, been sitting at home. We've been calling each other most of the days going, what are you doing? What are you doing?
70% rain all week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the wind?
It's been horrible.
And you know that, like Tampa Bay, I bet guarantee you that water is dirty from all that rain off.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Alejandro's already watching.
Alejandro. There it goes. I'm just watching it on Facebook. Now it's just getting up. Oh, it popped it to us right now. There we go. So everything's updated.
Are we on the air already?
Yeah,
no, not yet. We're getting ready.
We're here.
We're here.
No, we're here. We're
live?
live now.
Oh, well, I didn't even know we're on live. I saw it on the air, but whoa, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're here.
I just hope some of our viewers today have some kind of a fishing report or something to give us, because all our captains they've been shore bound, man. Shore bound.
Yeah, we don't have one fishing report from anybody from Steen Hetchy all the way down to Sarasota. So kind of wiped us out this week as far as fishing reports. So you're just going to have to listen to Sergio and I ramble on for about an hour or so.
I mean, I can't talk a lot because I haven't been able to go out a lot, except, some of the stuff that I've been, if you look behind me, all around me, I've been working on fishing tackle. I've been doing everything. I already wrote my October magazine article today because I already sent in the September one. And I said, you know what? Let me write October. And tomorrow I'll probably write November's.
Yeah.
Because, I mean.
Yeah, I thought about that. And then I started looking at my calendar, what projects I got going on, because a lot of them get pushed to the side when you're constantly going back and forth to the house, to the water. So I sat down and organized everything I've been trying to work on for the past month or two and got it all organized and starting to work. So, yeah. Basically what we do, sit here at a computer all day, and work on marketing, work on projects, articles, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, Donald's on, and lots of snook down here in the glades.
Few scattered reds.
Reds.
They haven't, down in the glades, they haven't had the issues that we've had. They've had pretty decent weather. So
all the rain has been up here, and especially around Crystal River. You guys have gotten it really. I mean, we've had it. I got up this morning and at 7:30 started raining, and it rained on and off. Not real hard, just a nice rain. It stopped for 10, 15 minutes, start again, stop again. Then we had another good afternoon for about an hour and a half, a good steady rain. And now it kind of laid off a little bit, So
we still have the flash flood warnings here, and there's a lot of roads closed because of the rain, but that's typical for Crystal River. A road will flood pretty quick here. So,
Donald, how was the weather down in Key Largo, man? And how was the fishing in Key Largo?
Mm-hmm.
Give us an update. We need some updates.
Yeah. In lobster season starting.
I was even thinking, I'll go out to the range mark with sabiki rigs and get me a bunch of thread fins and vacuum seal them for next month for grouper fishing. You can't. You go by the marina, the wind was blowing like 20 knots. I'm saying I ain't going to go out to a range marker and fight that. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah. No, and I had my clients really wanting to go either scalloping or fishing, and there was twice I went out this weekend. Friday morning, figured maybe I could get it in Friday morning, so we took off early Friday morning, get out there, get the bait, get everything going. I'm heading to the island to get set up, and I could see storms in the distance, and all of a sudden the wind just changed and it started blowing right at us. And so I stopped the boat and I'm just kind of sitting there, and I mean, it really started to kick. And I'm looking at the clouds, and I pull up my phone, look at the radar. I said, "Son of a gun!" Because as before we left, I looked at the radar, and everything was going kind of
Pretty good, huh?
southeast, going southeast. And I thought, we should be all right. We could make it. As soon as we got out there, that thing shifted and came right back north, right into us. And we got about 20 minutes of fishing in. Missed one fish. I had them out for like 5-10 minutes. Had a big school of mullet. And we had one fish just take off real quick, but couldn't connect. And then that was about it. I turned around and said, "Boys, we got to go." And we hooked it in. And so we got less than an hour of fishing in.
Jesus.
And I just rescheduled them for another day. And it was supposed to be Wednesday, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen either. So I'm going to have to call them back and try to find another day. But
overall, we didn't need a lot of rain because we were really hurting on rain.
Well, we knew it was going to happen. I mean, when you have such a drought, Mother Nature is going to balance itself out. And at least it's this type of rain instead of a hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
So, you got to take the good with the bad. But, we've gotten a lot of rain here, and it just comes in with bands and stuff like that. So it's just not good.
Don was saying lots of mango snapper. What about yellowtail snapper, Don? Anything else? Any muttons or anything, or just basically mango snapper? Now, was he in the kayak? You had the little 16-foot boat too, so you couldn't go very far. You had to stay around the little mangrove islands. You didn't go out to the rock piles that are out about a couple of miles out, did you? That's the other thing too. He has that little 16-foot boat. Although, I see these guys, I don't know how they do it. Well, they're out there 30 miles in a kayak, grouper fishing for these tournaments. But what they do is they take them out there and put the kayak in the water. But even still, I don't want to be in a kayak a quarter mile from shore. To be out there 20, 25, 30 miles in a kayak, especially some of those sharks that they've been looking at lately that are 8, 10, 12 footers. You look on the side of your kayak and the shark's going to be bigger than your kayak. No way. No.
Yeah.
We only fished mangroves. Yeah, I figured, yeah. Oh, it's 12 foot. He's got a 12-foot boat, not even a 6 foot.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's you're not going very far in it, but
no.
Sometimes you don't need to.
No. You're right.
Speaking of shark, just because I was sitting here trying to find, just some news or something that's going on recently to talk about. It looks like there's battle on the beaches for fishing for shark on the beaches. Excuse me. We don't have that issue here at Crystal River because we just don't have beaches.
What do you mean a battle?
So what has been happening is because of the condos and the condos and the hotels, et cetera, they're trying to do moratoriums on those who do any shark fishing on the beaches in front or around their property, stating that you're feeding these fish, you're catching these fish, you're drawing them in, gives it a higher risk for customers to get bit, et cetera. So FWC has been asking local and coastal municipalities to repeal their local shark fishing restrictions because technically they really can't do that. So it's been a big thing lately where they're trying to stop usage of drone bait dropping or kayak launching, because some of these guys get in their kayaks and they'll paddle out several hundred yards to drop the bait, keeping it away from, exactly right where normally people would swim or something like that and catch the sharks out there, which technically is their natural environment where they are, transversing the beaches and stuff automatically. It doesn't matter if they got bait out there or not. These sharks are there. But the narrative now is that, they're bringing in these fishermen are bringing in these sharks. So now FWC has asked them to stop using their local authority to stop people from shark fishing around these areas. So I think this is going to be a heated debate that's going to continue on for a while.
Yeah, I guess, I was talking to somebody else too the other day about, there was some signs up somewhere that said no fishing,
Mhm.
but it didn't have the Department of Transportation or something sticker and number on it. Somebody
Right.
just put those up
Mhm.
to keep people out of this little bayou area.
Yeah.
And FWC came in and ripped them all out. Said you can't do that.
Mhm.
You can't put no fishing signs out. You
Yeah,
know,
and that's seems to be a slowly progressive thing. I mean, they're already cordoning off beaches that the locals can't go because it's behind condos or anything else like
yeah,
that
but they don't
to
own the
keep private
water.
client.
They,
But you
they
know,
own the
if
property that the condo sits on, but it can't be a private beach because you
well,
know what? That beach, when the hurricane comes and it gets replaced, it comes out of taxpayers' money.
yeah, well, then that goes same thing for public ramps and everything else like that. That's what I mean. It's getting to the point where the tourist industry trying to protect their clients or customers from allowing them to use the beaches and everything else, and the fact that the local public is here, the people who live here, not able to use the beaches or ramps and everything else like that. It just that's an overstepping, and but it seems to be a trend that everybody wants to jump on board, um, and so we need to have people in office to stop this because beaches were always free. I mean, you go to a beach and walk along every inch of it if you wanted to, just as long as you weren't on the hotel or condos properties. I mean, there's always a line, whether it's the dunes or the grasses or a fence. Um, Everything else is public property, and you cannot allocate that for private use. And this is what seems to be the biggest problem recently on Florida beaches.
Did you see that little note about Donald said in Charlotte County there are no fishing signs by order of Florida Department of Transportation.
And where is that though? Is it on the beaches or is it on shoreline or bridges?
Well, that's what I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
Donald can explain that because
I mean bridges make sense.
it's getting to the point where they keep limiting more and more and more what you can do, and it'll get to the point where, like in your area and some areas, the boat ramps are getting smaller, less boat ramps, but yet there's more boaters every year.
Mhm.
And what's going to happen? I mean, you know, it's something. There were parts of Key Largo that had private swim bayous on ropes in the water as a deterrent.
Wow.
Well,
See,
you know what? You can cut those
yeah.
because they're a hazard to navigation. If they're not legal, you can cut them because that's
Hmm.
a hazard to navigation.
Yeah.
People's
Yeah, our waters are shrinking, and unfortunately, we've got to start showing our voice on this. You're getting these privatized areas, these hotels, condos, et cetera, are trying to privatize the waterways, and they it just cannot be. Public needs to have access to the waterways, whether it be beaches or swimming areas. Um, Again, navigable waters. They should be allowed to be on it no matter what. And beaches are another thing. I mean, you know, I just don't agree with trying to cordon off a beach just for a hotel or a condo. It doesn't make any sense. That's public land. It'd be like anything, like somebody owns they own a property and right behind them is the state forest or national forest, and they decide that there's a creek right there. They don't want anybody trespassing. They just put up buoys on there. No, you really can't do that. You can't stop the public from using public land, and that needs to be something that needs to be addressed.
No, I do agree with Donald on some stuff. He says, a lot of people they litter and they don't pick up after themselves, and I
Oh,
agree with that, Donald.
mhm.
And I'll tell you, nothing bothers me worse than go to some of my fishing spots like around Wheaton Island, and the water's clean. You look down, and there's a couple of beer cans and other stuff that they're too lazy to put it in a bag, and take it to shore. It's easier for them to just throw it over the side, you
Mhm.
know.
Well, I'm going to say this, and we'll probably get some hate mail, but those are the same people who leave their shopping carts right next to their car.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, you walk 2-3 miles in a Walmart or Target or whatever else like that, pushing that buggy around. You get to your car, and that extra 20 to 30 yards to put it in a little corral, that's just too much.
You know, and most of these places, the corrals aren't that far. I mean, they got them like, you know, it's
one
not
of my
that long of a walk.
no,
Okay.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves is just really people just anyway. Don't get me started.
All right. And let's see, we got Jim Pace is listening in.
Hey
now.
Jim, how are you?
Hey Jim, we're talking about how nobody's going out fishing, man. We're not getting any fishing reports because nobody's going out.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, we might have it bad. Could you imagine the offshore guys?
Oh,
I mean,
know.
they really got to be careful.
Yeah.
But you know
Yeah.
what? There's some of these guys that'll go out, and they're the guys you read about once in a while that their boat sank and they can't figure out what happened, or the guy that you hear on Monday morning that's been missing over the weekend, and you know.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yeah, and I haven't heard. I'm kind of you know, there's a Sea Watch thing out there. There's an app, and I'm onto it. And believe it or not, I haven't heard any distress calls or anything else like that of you know, missing boaters or nothing with all this weather. So I guess everybody's kind of heeded the warnings enough. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I hope so, because you know, I see it all the time. The boaters over the week, you know, that was it about 3 or 4 months ago. We had all that real bad wind, 20-knot winds, and 3 guys went out on Saturday with a 16, 17-foot boat out in the Gulf. And of course, the boat capsized, and they were looking for them, and they found them. Thank God nobody died. But you don't go out. Listen, I don't want to go out in a 30-foot boat with 20 to 30-knot winds. How are you going to go on a little 17-foot boat, you know?
Yeah. No, it doesn't work. Does not compute, as they say.
Jim, yeah, the weather's been crazy, and I don't think you're going to get out this week, because I was just looking at the weather again, and it's calling for 60, 70% rain all week, all the way through Friday, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah, it does not look good through Saturday. I mean, they're talking even up to Saturday. We're going to continue to do, you know, get more and more and more rain. So we've got another week to twiddle our thumbs and go stir crazy inside.
But at least let me put it this way: we haven't had, thank God, any hurricanes. You know.
Yeah. But I also was watching some of the tropics too, and there is some developments possibility. Don't know if it's going to be anything major, but there are some waves coming off the off Africa there, which could impact, you know, may not, but it's possible. And September is usually one of the worst months we ever have is usually September. So things could change.
I noticed that there's been a pattern the last 2 or 3 years. It looks like September, almost October is when the hurricanes have been coming through here. Prior to that, there's been some, but not really. It looks like September, end of September, beginning of October, which is kind of strange because that's late in the season. Actually,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It is. And like I said, a part of me wouldn't mind one, but that's just because it's my other business. But I don't wish that on anybody.
We really don't want anybody to get hurt, but you got to be careful, guys. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
You know?
The other thing I did see, and we don't talk about a whole lot on the show, is I think the nighttime bite, especially down there in Tampa Bay, and probably anywhere you got docks and everything else like that, because of the summertime. The nighttime bite has been pretty hot. People are catching a lot of speckled trout, snook, even tarpon out on a lot of those docks and lights at night. Do you fish a whole lot at night?
I used to, not anymore, to be honest with you, but I used to do really good. And you know, I know where the docks are that have the underwater lights, and those are the ones you want to fish, because
Right.
the fish are trained every night to come there and feed because they're
Mhm.
big fish attracted to the light. And I used to do really good in Tampa Bay on a lot of these docks. And actually, what was nice about it, you would just take live shrimp, free line live shrimp, and that's it.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
didn't need any greenbacks, or you didn't have to go out and catch them. You know, you just took you about 3 dozen medium-sized live shrimp and free line them on a little one-out hook. And I remember you would cast it into the dark and let it drift from underneath the dock. And boy, it looked like those fish were sitting right on the edge of the shadow line.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
as soon as that bait got right where the light would hit it, bam! Especially a
Mhm.
lot of big speckled trout.
Yeah.
I used to get some sheep hits, a mango snapper, but I got a lot of big trout in Tampa Bay fishing docks at night, and not a lot of redfish either. Once in a while, we get a redfish,
Yeah.
unless I put a fish shot and I was on the bottom. But when
Right.
I was free lining, and that's what I wanted to do, the other place I used to get a lot of big trout was Howard Franklin Bridge. I used to get underneath the bridge and let the current take my bait, drift it towards the shadow line.
Mhm.
And let me tell you, I used to get a lot of big trout used to hang around that shadow line. They would cruise it. You could actually see them. They would go up and down that shadow line, just waiting for that bait to get it. I guess when they could see it and they jump in after it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I enjoy to do. Did a lot of it up north. Not so much here in Crystal where we don't really have lights, out there in the salt. Everything's in the river, and that's just a different animal.
Well, you don't
Um,
you don't have the concentration of homes we do in canals down here
yeah, it
or
doesn't
around
happen here.
Clearwater or St. Pete. You got a lot of subdivisions with a lot of canals, and especially once you learn that there's three things I used to look for. Number one is if they had lights underwater.
Hmm.
Number two is did they have any prop wash and where they were at or were the deeper
Oh
canals.
yeah, yeah,
And then the third thing was to make sure that they hadn't that there weren't new docks because new
right.
docks, especially if they put the black plastic to protect it, there's not enough growth there. For some reason, they weren't as good as a food source for them. But
No.
I always would look, and the best time for me to learn, and that's how I learned over the years. You get December and January, the water gets crystal clear in Tampa Bay. I mean, this year, last December, we were in some spots looking around docks. We were in 10 to 12 feet of water and we could see the bottom crystal clear. I found one dock that had like a 55-gallon drum
Hmm.
that would been cut in half on the bottom and some rocks and stuff. And actually, it's turned out to be a good redfish spot. You can
Yeah.
see it crystal clear, 12 feet of water.
Right.
The rest of the year, 9 months out of the year, you'll never see the bottom like that. You might see maybe 5 feet, 6 feet, even a couple of sheep pit spots that I found in 12, 14 feet of water in the middle of the bay. I could see some structure on my sonar, and man, it was calm one day. I stopped and I'm looking. I could see all the rubble crystal clear. Man, I went nuts. I was going here, boom, marking, here, boom, going. I went to about 7 spots in that area and marked it all. So I was like, I know this is the outside. Anything inside of this, there's going to be a bunch of. But
Yeah.
normally you would never see that in 10, 12, 14 feet of water in Tampa Bay. I mean,
Right.
you might see 4 feet, but the water was just so clean in the winter. And if the tide's right, and you got those calm days, especially between like 10:30 to about 1 o'clock, man, that's the ideal time. That sun rays are really getting down there. And I went crazy that day. I mean, I saw some rock piles and I got it marked and actually produced a lot of sheep head in the winter over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there are a couple of things that kind of keyed in on, and the boat wash is one of the perfect examples. I mean, if there was a boat on there, especially if it had twin engines, et cetera, et cetera.
Hot wash on it, the
Yeah,
hole could be 2 foot
boat
deeper.
wash on it, just washing that out from underneath that dock. And then specifically, if they had a light where that shadow just kind of hit where that deeper water was going to be, that was the ticket. I mean, we usually found bigger fish, a lot more fish, because those fish would use that little dip down there, just kind of sit. and watch and wait. It's just their little sanctuary, their little hideaway. And then they wait for something to come through the light and nail it. But the other thing is matching the hatch. We'd sit there on a light for about 15 minutes before we would even throw a bait and just watch, see what's being eaten. Because, you know, the trout will come up there and pop the top, the snook will. You just kind of watch what type of bait's around there. You're always going to see a little school of bait fish swimming around these lights. And a lot of times those aren't what they're keying in on. They're keying in on something else that comes out of the dark. And it's usually those either little shrimp or little crabs or just a single bait fish just way out there. And that's what they're nailing on. And majority of the time, we actually use fly rods. It's the funnest thing to do is use a little fly rod with a little small. We did an imitation shrimp and imitation little bait fish, and just throw it near the shadows, near that edge, and that we just would catch fish all night long. But I would tell you right now, especially night fish, especially the way the shrimp size is, those are perfect sizes for those lights. Because those fish will key on something smaller and around those lights than they will big. So definitely shrink your bait size down, and you're probably a little bit more productive on those lights.
That's a good thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good thought. So let's see. Okay, Donald, you got nothing else to tell us, man. You're the guy.
Yeah.
And Jim, you didn't go out, I guess, at all.
No.
All last
no,
week.
he mentioned he didn't get out either. So
I know I talked to Ken Burke. Ken said he didn't go out. I talked to a bunch of guys and said, Sergio, it's just number one, some of them just aren't getting calls because of the weather, and I don't blame them. You know, if you're going to want to go fishing, would you call a guy knowing that it's going to be 70% rain?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to go.
No.
And you know, again, you could have a fantastic day, but it's a good chance you're not going to have a fantastic day. But if
that's the chance. Yeah, that's the chance. And especially if there's a small craft advisory, which I don't know if some charter captains know or not, but according to most policies, there's a small craft advisory out there, and you get into trouble.
Yeah,
they won't cover you.
They're not going to pay you. You damage your boat, somebody gets hurt or whatever. That's the first thing they're going to look for is what the weather was, because that's your first outlet from not having to pay you.
Yeah.
If the small craft advisory, you're not supposed to be on the water.
No. So all that money you're paying for that insurance to cover your client, your boat, and everything else doesn't count if you go out there and somebody gets hurt or damaged or whatever else, and that can be a real downer. So just an FYI.
You wanted to go out to Anclote in his little boat, but it was too windy. Yeah.
I can imagine.
I just, and I got to give him credit, and I got to give credit people like Pam Worth and a lot of those that just go out kayaking and all that all the time. Mm-hmm. I just don't, it's me. I just don't feel comfortable. You know, I look at my rear end and I look at where I got to sit on that kayak. And I said, I think whoever invented these kayaks weren't thinking of big butts.
Yeah.
Little butts.
Yeah. 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 A few years ago, I bought a kayak. It was a $1,700 kayak, fishing kayak with the pedals and everything else. And I bought a whole bunch of stuff for it. I had a depth finder for it, all this kind of stuff. You know how many times I was in it? Twice.
Yeah. You didn't like it, or just?
I got a boat, and you know, it was good and it was fun, but I just, to me, I was limited. So I really didn't use it. So my nephew has gotten a lot of use out of it over the years, but just not my style.
Hulta got your new drink cup, right, Hulta? He had a name, Fishing Adventures Florida Insider.
Hey, there you go.
Really nice.
Is it a tumbler? Let me see it, photo.
Show him, Hulta. Show him one of the new. Where is it?
Yeah, I got my Disney cup here that I use when we go.
Oh no! This is nice. It's someone that flips up so you can sip and it doesn't spill. No, he did a good job. Real pretty. Nice. Look at that. Look at that.
Ooh, Nice. I like it. I like it.
Yes, sir. We got one for you.
Cool.
All right.
Excellent. I love the blue color too.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's hey, and I like blue, so it's perfect. You see
Yeah.
that?
No.
And
Yeah, that
it's a
one's
logo.
gonna have to be stored stored away. No one can touch that one.
Your book. See, look at that. See, that's the one that the little thing pops up. And
Oh, look at there. Boy, even fancy.
it's got the little thing, it's really nice. Look at that.
Wow.
Woohoo!
Jeez.
Stainless inside. I'm telling you, he went first class, baby.
That is nice.
We had a good cut.
Cool. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I'll be using that. I like that.
All right. Well, yeah, we
Nice.
got it. In fact, we're going to honorary give Donald one because he's been our number one guy since day one. So Donald, Hota and I are giving you a Fishing Adventures Florida Insider coffee or drink cup, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Tumbler.
It's cold or hot, so whatever you want.
Yeah. Cool.
He deserves it.
I like it.
And I was trying to get together with him and I didn't. I'm dying to try this dolphin deterrent, but I haven't gone out to try it.
Right. Yeah.
I want to do it on a day that you can see the dolphin around, definitely, and it's starting to become a pain. I want to put it over the side and see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
we'll find out.
Right.
Now, is that a big crab you got hanging behind you?
So yeah, this is a painting that I had. There's a local artist up in Pensacola, and I liked her paintings, everything else like that. So I brought her to my house one day, and the decor that I had at the house, and I said, I want you to create a painting that will fit. And so it is. It's a crab. There's the crab, and there's another one in front of it.
Okay, I only see part of the bottom of it, of one.
It's by C. Jane, and she does a lot of local artistry and everything up there in Pensacola area. And she was nice enough to come to my house and create a painting for me.
All right.
And, so it was nice. And so it's here in the office, just because I like it. It fits real well. So yeah, if you're interested in art, just look up C. Jane of Pensacola. She does a lot of interesting art, not only canvas, but furniture, et cetera, et cetera. She's got a pretty good eye for it. And it just fit well in my house in Pensacola. And I had to bring it with me, obviously.
Of course. So, now, did you get to talk to any of your guys up there in Pensacola area? See how things are doing up there? I mean, are they getting hammered pretty good too with the rain? The wind?
Yeah, they've got a lot of rain and everything going on as well. And then the wind, that front. That frontal boundary is just kind of sitting right on top of them, which is pushing all of our stuff. So they're just getting a lot of wind, a few rain showers here and there. So things, just basically the Gulf Coast is just getting hammered one way or the other. So either by wind or rain, and it's just not feasible to get out. So it makes it difficult for a fishing report podcast.
Yeah, if you're not going out, you can't do a fishing report.
No.
And,
So, but
So
by the way, next week.
I mean, you came from that area, I guess. I mean, do they have something else they do when the weather gets like this, or?
Not much. There's the way, we're used to water being to the west of us, and we'll have north and south winds and no problem. If we get a west wind, we can deal with it most of the time. Most winds come from the west in the afternoon, fish in the morning, and you're good. Well, up there, it's a little different. When it's north, it blows north and south constantly. And that north wind will create something crazy there. And there's nothing to protect it with. They don't have mangroves or anything else like that. All they've got is the coastal beach and the dunes there. And the wind just goes right over it, right into the bays, right into the coastals. So there's no real place to hide unless there's a few little canals way in the back or this or that, but you've got to traverse through that nasty, nasty weather and wind and waves and everything else to even get to those canals to fish. So it's just an open bay area. So there's not a whole place, not a lot of places to hide when you got north and south winds. North wind's we worked with those in the wintertime only because right off the beach, you'd still have to traverse through some of the windy bays and stuff. But if you got to the beach, you could fish the beach if it was warm enough because the beach was nice and flat. It was beautiful. And especially for cobia season or you're looking for big bull reds and stuff like that on the beach or not the permit, the pompano. Geez, the pompano. You could find those pretty easily on the beach when the north wind blows because it's nice and calm and no waves. But it's a little different there just because
there's no mangroves at all up there. It's all beach, huh? You're fishing.
It's all beach, all grasses. Yeah, it's a lot of sand. So there's not a whole lot to protect the waterways except for buildings or a couple of sand dunes here and there. And you might have, 50 yards away from the beaches from one side or the other, but that's about it. Then it's going to start blowing you and it gets pretty nasty. So you kind of you just have to work with it, but the wind blows up there. It's almost like a Chicago. It blows. It just constantly. One of the reasons why when I moved to Pensacola area, start doing the charters, everything else like that, when I had the opportunity to move south, I decided to do that because there's a lot of days where you had to cancel charters because of the wind. I mean, we still went out in a lot of it, which was nasty, and you got seasick clients and stuff like that. But you just had to make a living. You had to get out there and make a living. So sometimes you just struggled and you did it no matter what. But I decided
there's no inshore fishing like canals that go back inside.
Not as what you would think. Most of the canals are shallow canals, not very deep. Wintertime, that's where you kind of focus the canals for the trout, redfish. Obviously, there's really no snook there. You get one or two caught maybe a year. So you're basically looking at trout, redfish, some sheep's head in the March coming through the passes. But, you've got a lot of mangoes. You've got red snapper galore. You've got just a little mix of a little bit more readily available.
Now, you just said something. So you have some marshes up there, like in Louisiana?
Yeah, there's around the Escambia Bay, Blackwater River. Those places is kind of a marsh. It's kind of just a bunch of grasses and stuff like that around. It's brackish type water. So you would get up there and catch the redfish and stuff like that. And if the wind was blowing, you could probably fish some of the rivers, but you're just kind of, you're sitting there at the mouth of the river. Now, Escambia River, Escambia Bay, it was a great fishery. There was a lot of times I did charters right in the Escambia river mouth. They created some areas that helped protect the mouth of the river from erosion and everything from the winds being blown up there. And when they did, they dredged out a lot of these little neat canals and holes and stuff like that. And there was a lot of fish that stayed there in the wintertime. And I could go into one place and I could catch redfish, trout, and sheep's head, black drum, all those things, and just within 300-yard little area. So it's a neat fishery to do that. But again, you have to watch the wind and that type of stuff because it can keep you off the water there quite a bit.
Now, since you lived up there and you fished up there, I mean, basically, would you consider that around that area, their mainstay of fishing is going to be out in the ocean, out for red snapper and cobia?
You would say, I would have to, if I guess, probably about 75% is offshore. You've got a few that are inshore, that do inshore strictly, but just about everybody does offshore to one extreme or the other. I mean, there was plenty of times we were inshore, did a little bit of trout fishing, red fishing, weather was nice, we'd go offshore. I mean, because it didn't take you long to get in deep water.
It drops off pretty quick, doesn't it?
It drops off pretty quick. So, and there's wrecks and rubble and all that from I-10 bridge. So you were able to do all that. Not only that, you could go inside the bay, which there, it could be 20, 30 feet inside the bay a lot of times, Pensacola Bay. around the 3 Mile Bridge that is deep enough to get bull reds, to get sand trout, to get red snapper, to get mingows, mangrove snapper. You know, there was just a big variety that you could do from Pensacola Bay all the way to the offshore. So, you know, a lot of people had bay boats that could take them offshore or inshore the bay because there's not a ton of shallow water area there. So there is.
So
there is shallow water, but
most of the guys are running bay boats and offshore boats. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Not a lot of flats boat, right?
Not a lot. There's a few of them. A few of us had the flats boats. And again, that's to get you up in the Scambia River area. And I like to fish that area. Blackwater River. There's a lot of flats there that you could traverse with a flats boat. There's a few places around NAS over there, NAS Pensacola, and near the forts, that Fort Pickens and then Fort McRae, I believe, is on the other side. You know, they've got these no wake, no motor zones there. So you pretty much need a flats boat or something like that that can get into that shallow water, which had a lot of fish in them. It was really, really good. So it's a great fishery. I just decided that I wanted to move a little farther south. First of all, it's not as cold.
Yeah. And the older
well, I would say I would debate about last year's cold, but for the most part, you know, it's not as cold, and you know, we do have honestly a little more sunnier days down here than you do there. You could have like this weather. This weather here could last 2 to 3 weeks on end at times, especially when the seasons were changing. So just overcast, wind. So like I said, too many charters canceled. Decided to try to move farther south so I could be on the water a little bit more.
John Rivers, a captain down here, he moved from up there. He was close to, what's that Air Force base? It's up there around the Panhandle, somewhere north of Mexico Beach.
Eglin, no. Oh, it's over there by.
He said it was north of Mexico Beach.
Yeah. Oh, I can't think of what it is. Now you're gonna make me look.
But he was a guide up there, and he was running a 24-foot Triton, and he did a lot of backcountry. But I think that's further south from where your guys are. This was just a little north of Mexico.
Yeah, Eglin. I was right, Eglin.
Eglin? Okay.
Eglin Air Force.
Where all you guys, where you were at, was that north of there?
So that the Eglin was what we would say east of us, because everything's north and south there. The water is south of.
Well, you were on the curve. Is that where you were?
Basically we were on near the Florida-Alabama border.
Oh, so you're way, yeah.
I lived in.
Yeah, you made that turn. Yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure. I thought it was more further south before.
Yeah, the Eglin is closer toward Destin area.
The what now?
Eglin is closer toward the Destin area.
Okay.
Yeah.
We stayed just before that hurricane hit that September. That year we went in April, and we spent 3 days at Mexico Beach. That was supposed to be April. Was supposed to be the big cobia run, but for some reason they had a very bad cobia run that year, and we didn't do it. We went, and the guys at the marina, they showed us a spot we went to. I had my Pathfinder back then. It was about 25 miles offshore, 85 feet of water. We fished this wreck, and we caught some big amberjacks and beautiful red snapper. And then the next day we came inshore, and over there they make these pyramids, concrete pyramids, artificial reefs. They got like miles of them, and they're like 300 or 400 yards apart, like 3 rows. And apparently up there, if you have somebody that dies, they'll get cremated, and for $2,000 or $3,000 or something like that, they put their ashes into this concrete, and they make an artificial reef, and they put a plaque on it and said, in memory of, Smith. And so that's a good way to. But we caught. This was like in 30 feet of water. The water's so clean, you could see them down there. Man, we caught big sheephead, tons of big sheephead down there.
Yeah. So the Air Force Base is actually where if you're Mexico Beach, that's Tyndale Air Force Base.
Tyndall. Okay, yeah.
Tyndall.
Okay, that's the area that he would fish around Tyndall. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyone's further north? Is that what's that?
No, that's actually farther. That's your south, kind of southeast of Panama Beach, Panama City Beach. So, yeah, you're coming up to where the near Apalachicola. You're almost toward Apalachicola, where then it turns and does the little harder, curve of Florida.
Okay.
Right there below Tallahassee area. So, yeah, near St. Mark's and stuff like that.
That just doesn't look like. I wouldn't want to live up there if it got too cold.
It does get a little chilly. Like I said, I think, just studying weather and looking all that kind of stuff, to me, that area, it basically feeds the East Coast. So anytime you've got troughs and stuff like that, that air that's going to feed that low or high or whatever else is just going to be pulled off the Gulf, pushed all the way through there and feeding the rest of the East Coast. Because you could watch the winds. And you could look down here in our area, and we get a little east wind coming off the land onto the waters and stuff like that, and then it just makes this abrupt turn into the Gulf and just shoots straight up going along the East Coast. And it just seemed to go between Orange Beach, Alabama, all the way through Panama City. It was just a funnel, and it just funnels that wind right up toward the East Coast to produce all the rain and weather patterns they have up there. So, yeah. It's a little weird.
They can keep it. I like it down here.
Yeah.
Now, listen. Do they have the same problem with boat ramps up there than they do?
No, they've got a few boat ramps up there. I'm trying to think in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so for Pensacola area, which it's kind of like maybe in between about an Ocala size type city, because you have Milton and those places like that, so it's kind of like a Ocala size. They had at least 7 different boat ramps, and there's plenty of parking, plenty of ramps, plenty of dock space. Really never had an issue. Even on busy weekends to try to launch your boat. They know how to do it up there. For some reason, when we go south, we have a problem in putting in boat ramps and parking spaces for enough people, and we have more people. So I don't get it. But no, there was never really a shortage of getting access to the water. I mean, there was so many different places that you could go, and especially say you wanted to be in Pensacola Pass, you had 2 options of either on the west side of the pass or east side of the pass to put in. And then if you wanted to Escambia Bay, you had 2 or 3 options to put your boat there. And then again, Blackwater, if you wanted to go a little farther east toward the Milton area and use Blackwater, there's 2 or 3 over there that you could use. So, they were spaced out quite a bit and enough. Now, again, you had to pay for a couple of them here and there, which everywhere you go, you have to pay now. But for the most part, there was plenty of access, plenty of parking, and there was no issue. And so one thing I can say Pensacola did well is there's their for their boat usage and public usage of the waterways.
Well, I didn't realize this because I don't launch it down there, but I was talking to the Fort DeSoto boat ramps, the main ones, the one that actually is right there, takes you right into the Gulf, the floating docks. Those are decimated. I guess got banged up pretty bad with Milton.
Yeah,
they're not fixed yet.
No.
If you launch a boat there, they're not floating. They're sitting. They're on the bottom. It's dangerous, and there ain't that many boat ramps down there.
No, that's the one I use. Yeah, I use that every year down there at Fort DeSoto when we camp.
You were there not too long ago.
There was only one workable dock.
One at the very end,
Yep.
they said it was workable. All the
Yep.
rest, why don't they spend the money and get it fixed? That's for the people. There's money there. I mean, that's why
It's
we pay our taxes for,
yeah,
our
it's a
fishing license and
but
all this stuff.
it's
What are
a
they doing with the money?
yeah, it's a state park, so it's a little different than the local, community county parks. So it's got a lot more red tape to go through because there was still a few things there at Fort DeSoto. What this is 2 years later, right? 2 years later
Yeah,
already.
yeah. And Milton will be 2 years in
That
October.
still were not fixed, corrected. I mean, the pier, one of the piers is still destroyed. I think they have the other one working. But yeah, there's still a lot to be done out there that it's just a lot of red tape and everything else to go through for them to get any monies to get it fixed. And I'm sure that money is going to be increased because they're going to want to try to build it so it doesn't happen again, because otherwise 2 years from now we have another hurricane and you got to do this all over again. So
That's the
I'm
first time we
sure-
ever had any problems with it. But like I noticed the other day, and maybe Donald can verify this, but I was watching a guy on YouTube and he was going to go fishing. And I don't know how long ago this was, but I think it was in the last month. He went to Ballast Point, which is a nice little pier, the south end of Bayshore Boulevard, that a lot of people use. And it's got a little park. So a lot of parents would go there on the weekend, take their kids to the park, and they go do some fishing. It's completely closed off because of the storm tore some of it up. They've never fixed it yet. But yet, I harp on this all the time. Boy, they got the money to put some more boardwalk in downtown. Cost millions of dollars. They got more money to think about maybe adding another park in downtown. What about what the people use every day? It's like Gandy.
Yeah.
Gandy right now could use 2 more ramps, and it can be done, and not a very expensive thing. The property's there. They need to expand the parking lot for about another 30 or 40 vehicles and add 2 more ramps. But I guess that doesn't do anything for their name, but it doesn't go on the boat ramp, and if it did, it didn't mean much. It's not like having it on a boardwalk or something, I guess, downtown.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Same way with St. Pete. I mean, all these places are the same. I think they waste money in some areas, that they should take care. But I'm just concerned because I look at the docks over here, and I tell you, on the weekends, man, it's like what you said. You think scallop season is over there? Well, think of scallop season down here every weekend in the summer. I mean, if you're not at the boat ramp at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, launching your boat, you're going to be in trouble because you get there. Oh, let's get there about 8:30. 8:30, there ain't no parking spot. There ain't nothing.
No.
You're going to park half a mile down the road. And then if you park off the side of the street, the cops are giving tickets.
Yeah, well, and you wonder, is that the incentive? More tax revenue if you got to give tickets.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they can expand a city or an area, for roads for people to traverse them, but nobody thinks of, and honestly, we don't vote these type of people in who have any inkling or any thought about outdoor activities. All they're thinking about is tourist dollars, public roads, public programs, all this kind of stuff, and nobody has any mindset of, hey, what are we going to do for the number one reason people come down here? Fishing, boating, beaches. That's why they come down. You can have museums and you can have parks and stuff like that, but people come down for that. So
tourism comes down for that because if you want museums and all that, there's beautiful ones up north.
Yeah.
But they come down here, for, like you said, for the beaches, for the fishing, for the ambiance, how pretty everything is. And that's why they come down here. And you think they would spend money to try to increase business that way.
Yeah. Access to the waterway is one of the number one subjects that is completely ignored by our politicians. Sorry, it is. Now, they'll spray the heck out of them. They'll dredge them. They'll put new sand dunes, all that kind of stuff, but access to the water, not in nobody's mind.
No.
And that's a shame, because with the revenue that local people and tourists bring with access to the water, it's a waste. It's a waste.
I mean, like,
That's my
like
2
Don
cents.
said, Florida is the fishing capital of the world.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
we can't get to the water to fish it.
no,
Welcome.
right. Pretty soon, you're right about that. Pretty soon is, well, you can't go through here. There's all these condos and apartments, and you can't.
Mhm.
You know, there's no more easement to get to the beaches. Oh yeah, there's one down there if you want to walk 2 miles to get to the beach. You know.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, and it's funny. These people are smart. These contractors and stuff. They're saying, oh, we'll figure a way so nobody can get to that beach. Yeah, we're going to let them get to the beach, but they got to come through this easement. And we'll make the easement so far away that they're not going to want to do it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's a missed opportunity for politicians around. You know, they could probably have a real big backing if they had a platform for that and they actually got something done. But you know, the amount of money for the fishing, boating, recreational, outdoor, on the waterway, tourism industry is mind-boggling, and nobody looks at it. It's like it doesn't even exist. Just a shame.
Donald said, I did find 2 boat ramps that were free in Key Largo, first come, first served basis. Now, Donald, how many boats can you launch out of there? How much parking did you have, I wonder? Because that was a big thing. When we were in Key West this year, and the captains that we were using, he said, Sergio, you're either going to have to live on the water or have a friend that lives on a canal or rent a lift or someplace to keep your boat in a canal or keep it in a marina. Because he says in Key West, he said, there's hardly nothing, no place to launch, a couple of little ramps, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
Just outside of Big Pine at the end of 7 Mile Bridge is still free. All right.
For now.
Yeah, for now. Don't say it too loud. But again, the boat guys and the Keys, they're keeping their boats, all of them are keeping them at marinas or in canals and back of people's homes. And you know, some of these guys are paying $400 or $500 to keep the boat behind some guy's house on the water.
Yeah.
Just because there's no other place. And the guy that we went out with, I think he had it was a 32-foot CV with twins on it. And he was paying on the water, not high and dry, on the water, he was paying $1,200 a month. And then what he did is, because he had locked it in for a long time lease on the place, he bought those like those floating docks that you drive your boat up on top, and he put that. And let me tell you, where he was at, it was like a boardwalk with these rental floating little 1-bedroom houses, you know, like the outfit that you rent houses from on vacation. What's the name of the big company?
Airbnb or Vrbo.
Yeah, like an Airbnb. They had like 8 little Airbnb. They were like pontoon boats that they put a little 1-bedroom thing on top of them. And you had to go walk like past 10 of them on this rickety dock. And at the end of this dock, that's where his boat was. And on the other side was mangroves and rocks. He had to come in a real tight turn. And what he did is he put this floating dock in there, tied it up so he could get his boat up there, not to have it on all the way in the water all the time. Right. And he was paying $1,200 a month, and he was happy. He was happy.
Yeah. I could spend $1,200 a month on something else. Whew.
Sure, man, I'm telling you.
But you know, access is key, and you know, if you need it, you gotta deal with the punches. So
let's hope next week we'll have some fishing reports. And thank you for hanging in there with us, everybody. Yep. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, everybody. We're done with our show, and I tell you what, we had to talk a lot about a lot of stuff because nobody's on the water. But hopefully,
an hour.
Maybe on the weekend things will change around. We'll get some kind of reports. But thank you, everybody. Stay tuned. Tell all your friends about Fishing Adventures Florida on YouTube. Send them there. We need subscribers. We need more viewers. Let's do it. God bless everybody.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
See y'all next week, guys.
All right.